energy must do work, and energy exists. We can prove it through existence of matter, mass, and our observation, our ability to observe that mass. So energy creates mass, and it's a force-based model. Force equals mass accelerating. In the rest mass model of Newtonian physics, everything is lovely for engineers to use in the real world. You can use rest mass as your inertial frame of reference. But remember that force equals mass accelerating, and therefore that mass is also accelerating. And so the first concept to grasp is an easy one about surface tension, is that acceleration is not just velocity increase at a rate, it's also vector change. So an object it's accelerating if it has vector change. And so now just take the sphere and look at a particle of that sphere as a sphere itself. And so if that sphere does a full rotation in a duration of time and doesn't change its position, it accelerates throughout the whole moment of time. Yeah. So you have acceleration, mass accelerating. So now we've got rest mass, but you're looking the other way. So now you're standing on rest mass, but you're looking into the quantum and seeing the concept of surface tension as acceleration of vector change, as surface tension. So you've got the two boundaries now, draw them, of memory, thought, observation, awareness, life, consciousness existing, and a layer below it of surface tension of particles of light going through total rotations as their acceleration. And so now we go back and stand and look at your rigid body, your mass, made of surface tension, and know that it's been created because you're aware of it. The two things are symbiotic. And that you've proven that rest mass is force. It's mass accelerating. And so what is this force? You now have surface tension, mass accelerating equals force. What's the force? The force is compression. So that the surface tension is all those particles, those little spheres going through their vector changes are being compressed. Again, observation in nature, black hole, density construction, the motion of entropy is towards black hole singularity. Compression, compressive force. So now take that force and let's put it through its full transforms, because it's energy. So remember, the surface tension is energy, it's elastic energy, and it's the energy of expansion being compressed. And so the sphere wants to expand. There's an expansive force at the center, and so it wants to expand, but it's stretching its surface tension, and that surface tension creates a boundary, and that boundary has compression on the other side of it as the resistance of. And so there's the boundary now of memory and water surface tension as the atmosphere of the planet. So now our rigid body is now the planet, but the surface of the rigid body is the elastica. So forget the surface of the planet as you see it and go to the elastica. Within the mantle of the planet, where there's a boundary caused by tension and negative tension as the force goes through its transform. So we know we have an expanding surface tension, and we know we have compression from observations in nature, in balance. And here's the work that they do to balance each other. That the compressive force at the center causes an expansion out again. If you had a soap bubble and you just squeezed it, its motion of popping would be to expand a little and then burst. And that's the effect you get of the compression causing expansion from the center. So you're compressing the outside of the atmosphere. The force of the compression is experienced at the center as expansion, so that it can pop, and then the compression can move to the singularity where it stopped existing. So you've got the expansion force. Now, that expansion force is a sawtooth wave of the elastica from tension to negative tension stretching. So the stretching of surface tension, and the structural frame of surface tension, which doesn't stretch, is the elastica. And so above that now you've got the expansion going to a pulse, because you've got an elastic response. So you've got compression, you've got expansion, you've got an inversion of vector change, mass accelerating at the surface of the elastica, of an actual line of these particles that exists in inside the planet. And that does a sawtooth wave because there's an elastic response of the surface tension. It expands and then contracts in the rigid body instant. So now you've got a pulse. Now in this pulse, there's a moment of time is created, measured by the duration of Planck's constant, the quantization of the buzz of electrostatic charge, because what you now see is counter-snap action occurring. That the stretching action, the snap back, the rigid body instant is counter-snap. See the Veritasium video. And in that duration of the response, it's by the spark that's created from the voltage charge of the potential difference of the capacitance, right? So you've got a difference. As it moves through, as it's moving, the difference is building, the capacitance is building, it gets to the point of discharge, the voltage discharge, and that is realized, it's reality. And the electric goes backwards, and it follows the elastic line of the elastica itself. So that sphere is electrostatically charged by this motion of the spark going backwards in time in the moment of duration, a moment of stretching created by the motion going forwards. And so you have a series now of these moments of time of reality of electrostatic charges. Okay, pulse. So now you've got compression, expansion, pulse, electricity. Now above in the atmosphere, you've now got this compressive force again, so that the pulse is pushing against the outside of the atmosphere, is the rigid body. The inside of the atmosphere is being stretched, compressed by the elastica, expanding, and so that the pulse is experienced as compression in the atmosphere itself, and that's how we breathe. So we breathe in, we're forced to breathe in, so we can't not breathe. If we stop breathing, we become unconscious. So we breathe this compression force inside ourselves, but our outside of our bodies experience this compression of the pulse, the buzz. So now we've got the two pulses, a slow one and a fast one. We've got the electric static charge on our skin, our hairs, our whole body buzzes with this electrostatic charge. We need to slow that using the breath, and so by controlling our breath and understanding the whole conscious system, the superior conscious, the nasal breathing system and the sinuses, understanding that that's the mechanism of experience. Take yourself to the ethmoid sinus, the two-dimensional disc that lies here, and that's the seat of consciousness. So we've got the compressive force on the skin, buzzing, and the breathing. Now inside the heart, there's the twist of the myocardial fold, inside the pericardium, the sac. And that's finally a viscous membrane now. Bearing in mind you've got, this is just like spherical layers, isn't it, of these other models. The one that's created by the electric spark going down the plastic line of the elastica creates actual plastic. Protein is created, and it twists, trapping the light there. Inside a sac that is sealed. There's no vector axis, so you don't get rotation. Right? Rotation comes next. You get a pulse with a big beat first because the electric's gone backwards, big boom, and a little one, meeting the elastic wave coming the other way at the center of the yield point, Young's modulus. All happening. So now the sawtooth wave, you can draw Young's modulus on it and see, oh, I see, that's the stretch. And then there's the spark at the center, the moment of consciousness, the moment of awareness. Energy created from the energy that you bring to it. Right. So now you've got more expansion in the center, in the atmosphere, because of the breathing that's going on. There's a recursive system whereby the pi tensor inverted creates the out-breath being greater than the in-breath in terms of the energy and the expansive force that it inhabits in our out-breath. So we pump up the atmosphere, we blow it up, inflate it. And it's more powerful inflated than the forces that create it, the universal compression forces that create it. So butterfly touch, that's all it needs. And so now what happens? We've got more energy. Why? Well, it rotates. So now we've got free bearing. The earth, the matter that gravitates around, that grows around the elastic line, the matter just is inside its own surface, a bearing with the compressive force outside, so it just goes round. And so the measurement of the rotation of the planet is the measurement of the health of the universe. It's the measurement of our health. health of our hearts, because the heart sac should be round, the heart should be standing upright. Right? With the wrong size, we've shrunk. The heart should be standing upright in a circular, spherical pericardium, matching the atmosphere, boom, and everything becomes natural and balanced. And I believe then we get a flat Earth, because we can, the Saturn shape, so the balance at the center of the universe must be Saturn shaped, must be a sphere and a disk. That's the platform upon which the universe must stand. But because it's so finely balanced, it can be tiny. It can be a fucking particle of Saturn that we place at the center. We place Satan back where he belongs, right at the center of the universe, inside a particle. We leave him there with all this information sealed up, the Reynolds number information, just for the engineers to look at and to look after. And you trust the engineers, and the engineers run the planet for you, keeping Satan in his place. The planet goes back to a flat Earth. It springs back. It's tension. It's just collapsed around its core. When we relax, learn to live as love, the planet goes back to a flat disk with a firmament above, as created by the twin vortex system. You can see why the firmament exists. It's the bubble underneath the twin vortex system above us, Toth speak, protecting us forever. We're eternal. Life is eternal. So there's the system of transforming forces. Right? So now we've got the rotation at the center. The rotation at the center causes twist, the vis viva. And that twist force is what causes the compression of the universe in the first place. So you've got the outside, the cosmic microwave background, as the final outside of the sphere compressing. Our rigid body is there. Yeah, it's just the frame of reference. It's a gossamer thin layer of ice 18 with hexagonal windows, austenitic. The austenitic is solid, modulus, because the austenitic property occurs here in our atmosphere. Beautiful recursive system. Welcome home. Yeah, welcome home. Follow the Rebel King.